Police Chief Wrenn Johnson is with us. Good morning, Wrenn.
Good morning.
And local resident Nancy Fish. And ladies, welcome to Coastal Daybreak. Listeners may have seen, if they've traveled the NC-24 corridor leaving Morehead City towards Newport, some signs on the side of the road regarding rezoning and billboards as well talking about the same issue. So we're here today to talk about a rezoning issue that is now in the laps of the Morehead City Council. And for that, to give us some background on the story itself, Nancy Fish, you're a resident of the area. Please tell the listeners exactly what's involved right now with this rezoning and why you, as a longtime resident of the neighborhood, is concerned, as many residents are, about the possibility of having this parcel of land rezoned and the impact it would have on not only you as a resident, but people who transit NC-24 driving their automobiles.
Well, we really want people to realize and understand that they themselves, their friends, their families' lives are at risk because this area is a dangerous area. And the concern for the area residents is that there is a 23-acre lot of land. It's directly behind Walmart, on the south side of Walmart, and it's zoned single-family residential.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a business that would like to have that rezoning changed. They've made that application to the Morehead City Town Council, and they're going to place a boat dealership, storage facility, showroom on that location, along with a 3-story independent senior living unit that's going to have up to 95 different apartments or units in that facility, in that location. The concern from residents is it's already dangerous. Since 2015, there's been 65 accidents there involving up to 120 cars, and there's been 3 fatalities, and it's only getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's rated as the second most dangerous intersection in Carteret County, according to NCDOT. And this rezoning, the traffic experts tell us, are going to add 500 more additional daily trips in this. It's almost like a 1-mile section of roadway there between Woodridge Drive and Harbor Drive.
Yeah.
And the concern is, I know I'm talking a lot, but the concern is that those are going to be senior drivers that have slower response time. I'm a senior,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, my response time's a little bit slower now. And you're going to have these large, slow-moving boats moving in and out of this very congested space, and we feel like it's going to create more traffic accidents.
Now, former Chief Wrenn Johnson, you were with the Morehead City Police Department for more than 30 years, 31 to be exact, making your way up from patrol all the way up to chief. I'm sure over your 31 years, you worked wrecks on that stretch of roadway, and also being on the force for more than 3 decades has seen the development and growth in that area, and subsequently what that does to traffic volume. And as a result of traffic volume, oftentimes you have wrecks. Describe that area for the listeners as well, from your perspective when you were in uniform, patrolling and managing the police force in Morehead City.
Well, first of all, thank you for mentioning 3 times that I was 3 decades in the law enforcement agency.
That's a badge of honor, Chief.
I was not going to admit that I would be a senior driver soon enough anyway. But yeah, anytime you increase traffic in an already dangerous area, you are putting everybody's lives at risk, not just our senior drivers, but also our teenage drivers
Mm-hmm.
and our guests who are not familiar with the area. And I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but when the word speed and limit, when the word limit follows speed, it is rarely recognized by the American public. We don't see the word limit. We see how fast we can go, and if we see a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody on Highway 24, not many, going 55 miles an hour. That the speed limit doesn't, there's only so many officers that we can put in that area. There's only so many troopers that can work this area. I mean, Carter County is a big county. A lot of people don't realize how big it is. We have very limited resources for law enforcement. So the speed limit's very high in that area. There's a red light after you come around that curve that a lot of people run. I mean, you can sit out there daily and do your research on that. People run that red light already. I used to not joke, but I always commented on how many people ran through that brick wall that's there at that intersection.
Mm-hmm.
And as Walmart came to the area and the shopping and everything increased on this end of town, we began to see a lot of traffic accidents, a lot of crashes in this area. Highway 24 is notorious for fatalities and traffic accidents. Water pools on that road, which causes a problem for everybody.
Sure. What is the posted speed limit in the zone that we're talking about right now, the area of roadway?
55.
Yeah, it seems awful. I mean, I travel it each day, coming to and from the station here, and it seems awfully fast on 55 for DOT to have posted it at 55, and like you said, the limit, because we as drivers always say, well, the cops will give you another 5 or 6 miles per hour. Well, no,
Exactly.
the limit is the limit. Is it the at-grade intersections, the subdivisions that feed out onto 24, or the commercial traffic that is spawned by or that flows to and from the Walmart at all, and all those shops back there, that make that a dangerous road, or is it all of the above?
I think it's a combination of all of it. Walmart probably does 50,000 transactions a day in their store. I used to know that number when I had to know that number, but there's a lot of people that shop in that complex, a lot of restaurants there, not just Walmart, it's everything. And so they exit 24 because a lot of them live that way. They turn right and get to go to those neighborhoods. So there's commercial trucks coming in and out. There's trucks, smaller delivery trucks that are still slower, and then there's just a tremendous amount of vehicular traffic and increasingly amounts of pedestrian traffic, people crossing the roads. As seniors get older and they lose their license, they voluntarily give it up or they just have it taken away, they still need to go to the grocery store, and they'll cross that street.
And I think people that drive that route frequently notice there was a memorial on the side of the road just past the entrance Walmart of a pedestrian who was struck back earlier this year.
He was struck in February. And he was my neighbor. And so it's very personal to me.
Yeah.
His name was Mr. Hom, and he was struck there and killed. Actually, the night the Planning Council voted to approve to send this forward to the town council.
Wow.
That was the night he was
So,
struck.
Nancy, let me play devil's advocate for a second. We live in a coastal community. A business that is an established boat retailer in another municipality wants to open up a business here in the Morehead City area. Is this where you live, and where this business wishes to relocate, the most suitable, the most ideal place for a boat retailer? Why this area that they're looking at and not someplace else?
Well, I can't explain, why this is the area that they've selected, but I certainly understand the value of boats and boating in Carteret County to me and to the public interest, but this is just not the right location for that business. Great businesses, the senior care facility, our population is aging. By 2025, 1 in 5 North Carolinians is going to be 65 years of age or older. We're going to need these facilities, but we feel there are other places in the city that would be more suitable than this location. So we don't oppose the businesses, we just oppose the location.
Right now, the way it stands, the planning board has approved it. They're just on an advisory level. They kick it up to the electeds in Morehead City. Your neighborhood sits in the extra territorial jurisdiction, the EJ.
That's correct.
So you don't have an elected representative representing your community, though you may have some sympathy from other council persons regarding this issue.
This issue has gotten a lot of support from across Morehead City and Carteret County. People, Highway 20 is one of our major transportation arteries here in the county, so lots of people have to travel that area, and they understand the risk. They see the traffic conditions, and so we are getting a lot of support from them. We've been talking with the town council extensively about the problems that we're seeing, and though we don't have representation, we do think that we have people that are listening and supporting our position.
Do you know when this gets on the agenda for the Morehead City Council?
Actually, it's going to be tomorrow night at the Crystal Coast Civic Center at 5:30. We're encouraging people to please turn out. The COVID restrictions now have been lifted, so that should make people feel better about coming out to an event like this, and we really encourage the public to come again 5:30 tomorrow evening at the Crystal Coast Civic Center.
And like all municipal council meetings, there's going to be a public comment portion of the meeting for items on agenda or from items that aren't on the agenda. I would imagine your neighbors are lining up to address the council.
Many people are wanting to speak at the council. Of course, the presenter is going to present his proposal to the council, and then there's going to be a public comment period, and there are going to be many people that are going to be coming out and speaking and voicing their opinion.
And this is, this is one of many issues that not only the council, the residents of Morehead City, but people who live in the outlying subdivisions outside the city are going to encounter over the next 10 years or so as the development and construction continues on I-42, which is going to, be a major interstate between here and Raleigh. And if we have heavy traffic on our two main arteries, US 70 and NC 24. Chief, from working patrol and being in the corner office at the station as a chief, this area has grown exponentially over 30 years, and you can imagine if you dump in an interstate, it's going to only increase not only the population but just the traffic volume as well. You only have to look to I-40's completion and what it did to the city of Wilmington back in 1990.
Exactly. Wilmington, you can talk to, I went to college in Wilmington, loved that town, but you can see the difference that interstate made in Wilmington, and it's going to make the same difference in Morehead City, Carteret County, and people love this area, they come here for a reason. I came here for a reason. It's a great place to be. But the traffic, there are other plans in place that people, I think, a lot of times are not aware of. Different streets that are going to open up onto Highway 24 when Interstate 42 comes, or possibly before. And it's not about just these two businesses coming. It's about the bigger picture, and that's what the planning board and the town council have to look at. It's the bigger picture. It's not just these two things. And growth and development is necessary for an area to sustain itself. Mm-hmm. And the growth and development in the western part of Morehead City has been great, but it's also brought a lot of problems that maybe we weren't prepared for. The traffic congestion, the accidents and crashes that we've had, even in the parking lots. I can't tell you how much traffic we work in the parking lots in the plaza. Just crashes. Mm-hmm. So when you add speed at 55 miles an hour, or you add a super street, the super streets may change the traffic. They will change the traffic pattern, and it will help the traffic pattern. But they also bring with them a different set of problems too. So it's just a bigger picture than two businesses trying to come into an area. For the residents in that area, that's a horrifying proposal. For the city and the county, it's just a huge issue that needs to be dealt with now rather than 10 years down the road, as we look at Wilmington and say, well, they're 20 years, 30 years into this, and they're still dealing with problems that this brought to them. So we don't want to be the outerlying areas of Wilmington that are dealing with these problems. We want to deal with it now and stop something or postpone it until it can be relocated and preventing these problems from happening. It's all about prevention and safety.
Yeah, and I think the meeting tomorrow at 5:30 at the Civic Center here in Morehead City, with the citizens coming out and speaking in a civil manner before the electeds, you should get your point across to them and do it in a civil manner. Talking about the traffic issues, but there's also when you take a parcel of land that right now is in a natural state and pave it over for parking lots and other hardened surface, you have environmental issues too. And is that a concern of yours as well?
It certainly is. You're going to have a lot of impervious surface with these two developments that are being proposed. And just to give you an example, 1 inch of rain, I think over an acre, it drops 26,000 gallons of water when you have just 1 inch of rainfall. And that water is going to eventually flow to Spooner's Creek. Some of that might flow out onto Highway 24 too. Stormwater planning is something that we struggle with, and stormwater in that area in particular. If you've ever been through Walmart or by Lowe's when we've had a heavy rain. And so there are real concerns there, but the environmental concerns are what it's going to do to the wildlife in that area. All the contaminants that are going to be washing down into the area is going to affect the wildlife. The the algae, the larvae that the little fish eat, that the bigger fish eat, and the shorebirds.
Sure. The food chain.
Food chain.
Well, if people that aren't familiar with the area, and you just mentioned Spooner's Creek, and people hear this say, well, it's a boat dealer. There's a creek right there. That makes sense. But is Spooner's Creek even a navigable body of water for vessels, for
Well,
boats?
it is in certain areas, but not in the area where the boat dealer is wanting to put his business. There's Harbor Drive that blocks off there's
Sure.
Creek. There's a culvert that goes under the street, but there would not be access for boats to leave directly from the boat dealership and go out into the waterway. But there's not in the dealership that he has now, and in a lot of dealerships they don't have direct boat
Sure.
access.
Yeah, they're just on the side.
Water access.
Water access. Again, we're talking with local resident Nancy Fish and former police chief of Morehead City, Wrenn Johnson, on an issue that is going before City Council tomorrow afternoon at 5:30 at the Civic Center. It's an open meeting, and the neighbors from the local neighborhood are going to be out at the council meeting. And if you're interested in this topic, and if you live in the Morehead City area, regardless of what side you fall on, you should attend your council meeting tomorrow, because that's the way they know they know how the constituents are feeling, and it's your chance to voice your concern in a civil manner to your elected officials. Good luck. How this progresses, keep us abreast on what's happening to the future developments of this parcel, this corridor, which many of us travel each day, and we try to do it safely. But as the chief said, from 31 years of
Say it
experience,
again.
it's a very heavily traveled and congested area, and this sounds like it could add more congestion to an already overburdened roadway. Thank you, ladies, for coming in this morning.
Thank you.